Hey, how's everyone doing? My name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws, and tonight we're going to be drawing the portrait of Scarlett Johansson. She is in a movie this summer. It's called Fly Me to the Moon, and it's about NASA landing on the moon in the late 1960s. So it should be a great portrait to draw. I'm going to take you step by step through it. So I am live right now, and if you have any questions, please just throw them in the chat. I'll be kind of keeping one eye on that and one eye on my progress, and we'll go nice and easy, step by step, and hopefully by the end of the evening, you will pick up a couple extra more tips to make your drawing of portraits that much better. All right? Well, let's get right into it. We're going to start off with some basics, and let me just say that drawing portraits is really like shooting archery or trying to shoot a target. And when you first start, your arrows are all over the place, and slowly over time your arrows are going to start hitting that target, and the more time you put, the more arrows you shoot. Eventually you're going to start hitting bullseyes. So it takes time to get there. So don't be so hard on yourself if your portrait looks terrible. Just remember, every arrow you shoot, you get a little bit better. So every drawing, every portrait you go after, you're going to get a little bit better. And hopefully, I can help you get a little bit more accurate. So let's get started. What size will the portrait be? Great question, Sandy. I'm going to be keeping my portrait about 3 by 4 inches. 3 by 4 inches. So they're small, but we try and get through them as for the evening that we're here in the next 30 to 40 minutes, probably 40 minutes. Might even go a little bit longer than that. But yeah, just keep it small on your page. And then when you have more time, you could try something a little bit bigger. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with a nice sphere. All right, so let's just kind of get a sphere on our page. And if you're part of the Daily Draw, that's a paid membership class I have, but we were talking about this earlier today, and it's definitely worth repeating. When you're drawing a head, the side profile is very round, but when you draw it like looking straight at it, it's very flat on the side. So you have to remember this. When we start off with a sphere, we're going to have to slice off the sides of it to get that flatness. And then when you get a drawing or a head position that's a 3/4 view, see, this is a 3/4 view. One side, let me see if I go over here, one side's going to be kind of flat, and the other side is going to be round. So it's just something you have to remember when you're drawing at least a 3/4 view. So that's what we got here with Scarlett. And let's go ahead, and first thing I want to do is I'm going to get her brow line. This goes right through her brow, just like this. Hey, Christina, good evening to you. And it is a just a slight angle. I think I called her Sarah at the very beginning. It's Scarlett. I should have remembered that, but that's okay. All right, so we've got to, in fact, right away, you know what? I've made my angle too severe. This is where we've got to really, right at the beginning, if you have to erase and get a better angle, then get that angle down, because at the very beginning, you want these things to be as locked in as possible. All right, let me put a little color over here so I can switch up and draw on top of this picture. That will help you to kind of see what I'm seeing. All right, so right away we've got our brow line. Next, let's just drop a line down the side of the face. This is going to help us see that that edge. All right, so I'm just gonna come over here like this, And then I'm going to erase this extra part because I don't need this. This is the flat side of her face coming around the corner there. Okay, next, and this is really important. If I look at the head and I envision this, like, look at this. If I envision that's the sphere right there, okay? What I really want to keep my eye on is the temples. Temples are at the very corner side of the head, corner side like this. So it's going to be one temple's going to be there and one is going to be just about like that. And what is important at this point is to realize, where is this temple compared to the back of the head? Where is this temple compared to that side? This is where we want to really nail that temple, because along the brow line and the two temples, hey Louise, how are you tonight? Along the brow line and the two temples, this is where we are everything is gonna hang from these 2 points. So we really gotta get these as accurate, their location, as possible. So let's see. If I come over here, I'm gonna say this other temple is right about there, okay? And then the other one's gonna be about there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and remove that there. Okay, next what we have, let's see, temple there. I'm going to redraw it because I got all those extra lines. Next thing I want to do is find the center line of the face. And there it is. Sometimes you could call that the T of the face as well. So let's see here. Let's get that center line. And since it's a 3/4, it's going to be a little bit more closer to the right. All right, so there's our center. Let's drop a line now for under her nose. And then under her chin. A lot of times this and this, that will be half, okay? Those will be the equal distance, generally speaking. And these really are general proportions that we're talking about here. So there's that. I'll double that, take that, and that will give me, about her chin. I'm going to erase this bottom section right down here because I don't need that. Okay, let's go ahead and put our eye line in as well. That's okay to put in, and it's going to come right about there. You see that? Let's get that in as well. We might have to adjust that, but we'll see. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that so we could look at our picture a little bit more closely. And right now, I just want you to know that this, that's the bottom. We got that. And there's our brow line, okay? Okay, look at that nose closely there. Look at that nose. That nose right now, there's like this center section, all right? Think of that as a ball almost, and then you've got the two wings of it, all right? So how would we draw that? So let's come over here. This is where that dot is right here. So the tip of the nose is going to be up a little bit higher, maybe like right about there. So let's just kind of put this in here. We'll go something like that. This is going to be the tip of her nose. Now, this is interesting. A lot of times when it comes to proportion, hey, Helen, we want to use vertical lines and horizontal lines to see what's lining up. Okay, so for example, the edge of her nose, check this out. Oops. Ooh, come on, there it goes. Look, it's almost a straight line. You see how that nostril lines up with the tip of her nose? So we could do that. We'll just come down here and lightly drop a straight line. Okay, then it's going to come in like this. And then we're going to come out a little bit wider because that will be the nostril on the other side. Do you see that? Look, I come in, I go out, and then I've got the nostril. And then we've got the round part of her nose like this. Exactly the way we drew it. I'm going to get rid of all those silly marks so we can actually see her nose now. Let's see here. Let's erase this. And I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so a lot of times what I like to do is I like to add value first and then the detail on top. So this nose, let's get the underside shadow of it. So we're just going to drop a little tone underneath. That's going to help us right away give that some dimension. All right, let's get one nostril on one side, just like this. And then this other one, because it's in the 3/4 side, it's going to be a little bit wider. Okay, we could get that wing of the side of the nose here. And that comes around and underneath. And one thing I want you to remember this idea that construction gives way to likeness, okay? Construction gives way to likeness. Don't worry what it looks like. Focus on the construction, okay? Okay. Now, when it comes to women, a lot of times you want to avoid drawing the bridge of the nose. This will make their nose look a little bit more dainty, and it just will have a much more attractive feel. Now, if you're a man, you want it to look more, masculine and sharp. And so this is where we don't want to hold back on any features with the men. Okay, let's continue on. Let's get down here in the fulcrum. The fulcrum goes right down the center here, and that would bring us to the V of the lips. So if I kind of look at this closely there, I'm going to put a V just like this. Now, if you look at the corners of the mouth, the corners will match the same angle as the bottom of the nose, the eye line, and the brow line. All these things are parallel to each other. So let's go ahead and take those angles up there. And I'm just going to put a very light line that will establish the corners of the lips. Okay, so let me zoom in closely here because I want to show you the steps, what we're going to do. Look at that right there is the center of the lips, right? And we have to remember, look, the corners of the lip are a little bit higher. This ends up giving her that nice little smile that she has, that slight smile. And so when we establish the position of that center, we want to be very careful that we get those corners correctly right above it. The other thing too is just realize that like this side of the face, we see more of the lips on this side and then on the inside. All right, let's do that together. So first thing, I'm going to come down here. Okay, that's about the corner. That's the overlap there. That looks like a good distance. And then I'm going to go straight across, follow the line, and then up just a little bit. Just a little bit. And then the other side, now look at this. Remember that line that we created along this? Look at that. The corner of that mouth lines up with the side of the nose. So we are going to have to come up just a little bit, just about like that. And these measurements that I'm doing, I use the same exact step by step. Doesn't matter the portrait I'm going to draw. I keep thinking through these processes. So I found that my improvement in drawing portraits really got much better when I memorized this process of going through step by step. In fact, I wrote it down a long time ago, and I was able just to like refer to it in the very early stages, and that was very helpful in my portrait drawing. Okay, let's erase those marks because we kind of have them on our page here. And let's go ahead and look closely there. Okay, so we got the corner here. There's the top of her lip there. And there's this side here. Looking at the corners there, they're kind of angled downward. All right, got the bottom there. Look at that. And all it is connecting the dots. There's no surprise. Now look closely at her lips, the bottom lip, because it's shifted a little bit to the right. Okay, we can manage that. So I just shifted that ever so slightly to the right. Hey, Sarone, how are you? Okay, look at this. Now, look carefully. Let me zoom in here because I want to show this to you. Look carefully where this bottom lip lines up with the top one there. You see that? So let's get that in as well. And look at that shape. You see that? So it's coming in just like that. Now this other side is going to be a little bit longer. You see? Okay, let's go ahead, and whenever I have lips, I always add a little bit of tone to the top lip. That always makes a real good difference. Okay, let's keep moving down her face here before we get to our eyes. Look at this. The chin now, you see the chin goes in and then it comes out toward the lips. So this line on a side view, you know, she'll have her lip and then it goes in and then, oops, it goes in and then out toward the chin like this. And this area gets a little bit of shadow. All right, let's get rid of that. And let's add that to our picture. Okay, so this is it's parallel with the others. All right, then we're gonna come in here. We're gonna look closely at her chin, and her chin is has a little bit of a box. It's a little boxy, We're looking at the construction. Keep it light because we will adjust this a little bit later. Excellent. Let's get under these eyes now. We'll come back and we'll get her jaw just a little bit later, okay? All right, when I draw the eyes, the first thing I look for is the tear ducts, okay? The tear ducts. And if I look at her nose, usually the tear ducts here will line up with the outside of the wing. You see? Let me erase this over here. Now this one, let's see. Now her eyes are a little bit wider apart, okay? It's just her proportion is her eyes are just a slightly wider apart. Okay, so let's go ahead and put those tear ducts in. Nose here, okay, there's gonna be one right there. And on this side, we already saw that. All right, that's gonna be the other tear duct. So, next thing I look for is where on the outside of the eye, where those come together, right there and right there. You see that? And look at the relationship. Those outside points are a little bit higher, a little bit higher. Okay, we can manage that, right? So there's, and usually generally speaking, the width, the eyes are like one eye, two eye, three eye. There is the width between the two tear ducts is about the width of an eye. So you get 1, 2, 3. So if we come across here and up just a little bit, you would be amazed at like some of the little subtle, it doesn't take much. Okay, let's get these eyes here done. So we're gonna, this is kind of gonna come up, and it has a long. All right, let's get to the other side. This is long, and then it kind of curves around the eye on that side over there. Okay. Okay, let's get these pupils in and watch what I do for these pupils. I'm not going to make them totally round in the bottom. I'm going to actually make them flat. Because that will give the sense that they're going into the they're behind the they're going into the lower eyelid there. So let's see where this one is. This one's over here. Okay. Takes time to do this. And by the way, if you're looking for extra help, I would recommend that you join the Daily Draw. The Daily Draw is a paid membership. It's only $10 a month. We get together every day of the week at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. If you missed the lesson, you could watch the recording. And we spend about 30 minutes every day, Monday through Friday. It's called the Daily Draw. You can find a link for that in the comment section at the end of the video. So, I mean, when you watch this, go to the comments and there will be a link that you can sign up for the Daily Draw. You can't beat it. $10 a month, it gives you 5, 10, 15, 20 lessons a month. I mean, and they're all brand new. I don't repeat them all. So They're a great practice if you really want to excel. Okay, enough of that. Let's keep going with these eyes here. Now look at this mascara on the bottom eye. You see? You see that? Now watch what I do here in order to pull that off with very little effort. I'm just going to come in here and just leave just a sliver. You see that? Just a sliver of white space. And the same thing on this side as well. We'll just come in here like this. Bear with me. As soon as we get these, her mascara on the top of her eyes, it's going to look awesome. Okay, let's get this eyelid on top here. Here we go. I'm really careful when I do those eyelids on top. Look, let's just say this is the eye we just did here. I look very closely at it, and I don't try and match it exactly, you see? I try and look at the picture, and it's like close here, and then it gets a little bit wider there. That makes that is looking at the construction. What about over here now? All right, so we're like here, and it all right, then we're going to put the mascara on. This is going to sell it. So we just go in heavy here. There she is. That's the Scarlett Johansson that we're all familiar with, right? And over here, the same thing. We're going to just come down. I think I'm going to lower those just a little bit. There we go. It's amazing. Just a little tweak will make all the difference, right? Okay, let's get these eyebrows in, all right? And same time, I'm going to come in here and just kind of erase some of these original guides I have. So here's... And on this side, where does it start? I'm really looking at the negative space. This is the negative space between the eyebrow and the top eyelid. Let's get the side of her head in. This is going to really help. Look, it's almost a straight line right to her cheek. And then we come down. And right here, this is like the corner of her jaw. This is where it's going to curve down right into her chin there. So let's see how we do on that. Up here, okay, I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna get that just a little bit closer here. Then we're gonna, what I'm doing is, what I'm looking for when I do this, I'm really looking at this negative space, that negative shape. You see that? That's what I'm zeroing in on. Okay, I'm going to come over to the other side and do the same thing. This time I'm going to position that ear. So this ear is right there. If I envision a horizontal measurement, this is coming like right in between her nose and her lips. You see that? Right there. It's going to be somewhere around here. And I'm also looking, see, I'm always looking at negative space. The corner of the eye, look at this, look at that distance. Okay, that's going to help me also position that ear. So here, okay, so that ear I think is going to be right about there. So we'll just, there's the earlobe. And then from here now, I can, from the earlobe, let me erase this here. From the earlobe, I could drop down just a bit. That gives me the corner of the jaw. And then I'll come in here and get her jawline. Now this is a great time to check my proportions. So what I'm going to do right now is use, I have 4 tools that I recommend that you use to check your proportion. Use vertical alignments, horizontal alignments, negative shape, we've been doing that, and this last one's called cartoon check. The way this works is I look at my picture and then I look at my drawing. I look and I jump back and forth with my eyes and I try and make the adjustments. So I'm kind of looking, what I'm doing now is I'm going to be looking in this whole area here. I'm looking at that and I'm going to jump over and look at my picture. And I'm going to look at that and jump back and just making sure that it's not too off. That is not too bad. I think I'm going to roll with this. I may have gotten a little bit more narrow in the bottom part there, but that's okay. I'm going to roll with that. Let's get these cheeks in. So one thing behind the nose, and this area comes around here, this is called the barrel of the mouth. Check this out right here. See, this is the teeth. You see, this is like a ball, the ball of the mouth or the barrel of the mouth. It's very round. It's round from top to bottom and to side. So we can kind of see that happening right here. Let me point it out to you. You kind of see it happening here and right there. You see that? That gives us structure for the mouth area. Here, I'll leave that on just for a second longer. So this will help us line up our cheeks here. So let's come over here and very lightly, because usually these lines will show up more and more as you get older. So the minute that we come in dark with them, this might be too dark, it ages. It will age her. So, but this will help us to determine where these cheeks are. Light tone right there. Okay, and then the cheeks are going to line up with the same alignment as the underneath the nose and the brow line. So let's see here. So we can come over here, nice and light. Okay, and we can add a little bit of tone on those cheeks. And I'm going to kind of like take away some of the barrel lines that I drew because I want to keep her looking youthful, her age. And she has that trademark freckle right there. Okay, let's get a little bit more tone or value. So let's drop this in right in here. This is going to help set her eyes back just a bit. And the same thing over here. Let's come in here like this and very lightly put that glabella. All right, that nice area between your eyes and above your nose. Okay, let's come in here with a little bit of darker value. This is going to be the inner part of her ear. And I'm going to add a little bit of tone on the outside here, just like this. Okay, let's get this. I love these earrings, so I'm going to come in like this. They're thick, like this, and then I have to draw the inside of that one, just like that. So all I'm doing here is kind of coming out one side, I curve the other, and then I push my pencil to the right, just like this, and I continue that over here like that, and I get a nice loop earring. And you can come in here and add just, you know, a little bit of detail if you wanted to kind of give it that nice metallic look. All right, let's go to the other side and add the other earring. Looking at where it's positioned with the mouth. I'm going to drop in just a little bit of a shadow right underneath her lips here, just like that. See, that creates contrast and will cause that bottom lip to pop because we've darkened the area around it. All right, let's get this hair in. The hair is key. Well, before we do that, let's just drop her neck in place. Her neck will be helpful here like this. And then this one is coming right in here like this. And you kind of can see it, but we have these tendons right here that go from the back of the ear. These tendons come right down, right into the pit of the neck. This allows us to turn our head back and forth. So we could bring this right down like this, and you could see her pit of the neck is right there, just like that. Ooh, didn't mean to do that. Let's just move that over there. I like that. I like that earring. All right, let's get this hair in. So, like hair, this is what I want you to think of. I want you to think of like if you had a field and you're going to put fences around the edge of the field. So that's kind of what I want you to do with the hair. I just want to make a contour drawing going around the edges of the field. So let's start right around her face here. So we'll just go with some straight lines. Let's see, we've got her hair coming up. I'm not worried about the curves yet. This is gonna come in here like this. Keep it light. It's gonna come up there. All right, then we're gonna come along the side of her head here. You know, I think I'm kind of long, and I think my face is a little bit on the long side, but that's okay. All right, I'm gonna come over here, and I'm just using straight lines right now. I'm really paying attention to this. Look, this is like negative space. Making sure that my area kind of matches that, you see? If I could think of like verticals, right? All right, and then where's this coming? This is kind of coming down here. Okay, now look, one other thing I want to add, well, I got it. Look at this collar. Look at where this collar is in relationship to her jaw. Do you see that? Let's get that in too. So there's her jaw, and that collar is coming in here just like this. And then look at this. This is interesting. Here is the earring, right? And then here is the back of the collar. Look at the relationship between those. Here's a little negative shape. The bottom of her hair, look at that. And the shape, look at that shape in between those two elements. I try and match that. So I'm constantly, that's my point, is that I'm using these shapes all over the place to get my proportion locked in. All right, we're coming up here to 15 minutes. All right, now we got our hair in place a little bit. Let's now add some surface lines. So look at this. I'm going to start thinking of her hair in mass. So let's see. We're coming around here like this. And now I can come in here. Look at this. We've got some tone. Just bringing it up slowly. There's some tone there. What about down here? Now look, this whole bobbed area here of her hair. This is all darker value. Look at this. Is interesting. I like this. It's lighter value up here. It's darker value down here. It's darker value down here. Darker value in here. You see that? I'm trying to think of her whole head as one giant object right now. And I'm just trying to put value in place. Look how dark it gets back in. Really dark value back here. You see that? All right, and then this side also is dark value. All right, we got some dark value under here. I'm just putting value right now. I'm thinking of her hair almost like a giant piece of clay that I'm just carving it out right now. I haven't added any detail. All right, then now I'm ready to add a little detail. So let's see. And I don't need a lot because I've already established those different values. And you might have to go back in and change the value just a little bit. Look, and I'm thinking of surface. What's the direction of the hair in some of these areas there? Almost like you were adding texture to a wave. You know, if you had a wave on the ground here, right? What is the, look, this is one side of the wave. You see that? That's all we're doing. Okay, you can make some adjustments here. Squint my eyes. This should be even more darker down here. What's going on here in this little... I want to make sure that this earring is popping. And you know what I forgot is add just a little bit of highlight into those eyes. Okay, look at that. There you go. I think that's going to do it tonight. So let's check something out here. I got a little surprise I'm going to show you. Of course, before we started this, I went ahead and practiced once. I drew her once before we got together. Let's see now, after a second time drawing her, how that turned out. So let me bring over this. This is there it is right there. This is the one, let's see. There is the one on the right that I just finished. And there on the left is the one I drew earlier. Isn't that interesting? So this just goes to show you that, oops, I want uniform. Let's bring this picture up and just see which one we like better. Okay, what do you think? You think I was more successful in A or B, right? There, you know, it's interesting. You start to draw something, and the more you draw the object over and over again, you get more familiar with it. So yeah, let me know in the comments. Do you think I was more successful drawing A, or do you think it was B? Okay? that's what I got for tonight. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. My name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws. Go out there, make your day great. Elena, you gave me an A. You were going with A. All right, sounds good. See you guys later. Have a great night. Okay, bye-bye.